It was amazing in a lot of ways. God did incredible things.
Here's why I haven't talked to you so long. You guys were like traveling across the country for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Tell everybody. Tell me. Tell everybody.
Well, okay. So yeah, I would love to say that it was an absolutely incredible, amazing trip, and everything went perfectly, and that it was our dream. That is not the truth. I'll be super honest with you actually about this.
I love you, and I love that we can talk about the truth.
Yeah. Well, okay. It was amazing in a lot of ways. God did incredible things. We got to meet incredible people. We got to meet tons of people who listen to the podcast, tons of people who have seen the movie. And just that part of it was worth every bit of the angst of the trip.
Right.
Truly it was. I mean, just to see what God is doing through the Schoolhouse Rocked ministry was amazing. And getting to meet people face to face, there's just nothing like it. I mean, it's right. Incredible to get emails from people and messages and so encouraging. And we need that. And we love that. But at the same time, just getting to meet people face to face, there's just something different about, because, we're humans and we're made for relationship and connection. So, so that was funny. Oh, here's a really funny story. This is one of the funniest things that happened, possibly the funniest thing that happened on the trip. We were in Florida and we had just arrived at the hotel where we were, I was going to be speaking, and we were showing the movie. We showed the movie 6 times at FPEA, which is the big Florida convention. And so that was fun. Just getting to show it to so many people, hundreds and hundreds of people saw the movie. And so we got to the hotel. The girls and I were standing out front, and not even in the lobby, but we were like outside out front. And I was like, it's so humid here. But Garrett was parking the car. So we're just standing there with our luggage for us all to walk in together, because we're cheap. And it's like this fancy hotel. And so you have to pay. They don't have bell carts that you can just grab and load up your luggage on.
Oh, really? Okay. Which, by the way, let me interrupt, because I have traveled with your family and entered a hotel, not traveled, but I have been at a hotel from an airport with you guys, and I've never seen anything like it, because you guys have, like, I was in awe. I wish I would have done like a Facebook Live or something with your family, because you guys have everything for convention. So your booth stuff, you have stuff to travel for weeks. So you have, and there's 4 of you, and there's 3 girls. And it was like, because like, there's like me, who we do a lot of backpacking. So I'm like, you need 3 weeks worth of stuff on your back and no more. And then with you guys, it was so awesome. It was my favorite. So I can just imagine you're standing outside this hotel.
Yeah, it's so funny. Our poor girls, we're like loading ourselves up with all this stuff. Anyway, so we're standing outside, and this lady runs up to me. Her name is Jennifer. She's my new friend. And she's running towards me, and she's like literally like kind of running, and she's like waving her arms, and she's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you're here. And she said, I watch your channel. And for some reason I was like, is she talking to me? Channel. And I kind of like looked around for a second, because I thought she had the wrong person. It was so hilarious. Funny. And I said, oh, the Schoolhouse Rocked channel? And she said, yes. So she watches this on YouTube, because we have a YouTube channel. So lots of people watch it.
Okay.
But most people listen. And for some reason in my mind, like, it didn't register. And I seriously was like, I think she thinks I'm someone else.
Oh, my goodness.
But no, she watches the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast on YouTube. And it was so funny. And I just can imagine the look on my face of surprise, like, me? Are you talking to me?
Oh,
and it was so sweet. So I got to meet her, and her whole family was there. And then she and her daughter came to my session on homeschooling girls, and I got a chance to talk with her, and it was exciting, but it was just hysterically funny, because I'm like, I'm not a celebrity, I'm just a mama, just like you, trying to figure it all out.
That is so
it was funny. But anyway, so going back to the beginning of our trip, we started out going to Illinois. So the first leg of our trip was that we did this little tour through Illinois. So we left Oklahoma, and we were heading to St. Louis the first night to get close to where we needed to be for the next day. We loaded up our van, and it was like, man, just leading up to this trip, just attack after attack. And you talked about this, when oftentimes when we're doing work for the Lord, the enemy does everything he can to attack us in any and every way possible. And
100%.
we felt it leading up to it. I mean, it was physical attacks, spiritual attacks, emotional attacks. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So we finally get to the day that we're leaving. We've been working hard leading up to this day. We get everything packed in our minivan. We had just gotten our van back that week. The transmission in our truck is almost totally out, but we can still drive it around town. So we couldn't take our truck. We drive an excursion typically. That's what we always take on our trips, but we couldn't take the excursion because we were driving over 3,000 miles. So we were like, okay, we're going to trust that the minivan's going to make it. And so we bought this 2011 Honda Odyssey last year. And it's a little bit worn, but we're like, it'll be fine. So we took it to the mechanic because the air conditioning had gone out on it. So we got the air conditioner fixed. We loaded up on Saturday. At about noon, we had some things to finish that morning before we could get on the road. And our first event was the next day. So we didn't have to be there at a certain time that Saturday. But we get it all loaded up. We drive out of our neighborhood. And as soon as we drive out, we're like, there's hot air blowing. There's no air conditioning.
Oh, my word.
And it was blazing hot that day. And so we were like, what are we going to do? And so we ran to Walmart real quick. We came back and we just prayed and we were like, Lord, we don't know what to do here. We're supposed to be in St. Louis tonight and we can't take this trip without air conditioning. There was no way because it was Saturday, everything was closed by that time. So long story short, we ended up having to rent a minivan, if you can imagine that, for 5 weeks. And the Lord provided the perfect minivan. And honestly, we were like, okay, Lord, maybe our van would not have made it. And we're just trusting that.
Right. And he's protecting you.
Right. So we got a brand new minivan that we got to rent. So we had to drive to the Tulsa airport, pick up the rental, drive it back to our house, unload our van, reload the new van.
All in your driveway?
All in our driveway.
Just, stuff.
Get everything situated again. By the time we got on the road, it was 6:30 in the evening. So we didn't arrive in St. Louis till like 1:30 in the morning. It was crazy. But we finally got there.
And that was the start to the trip. That
was literally how our trip started. And so it kind of started off on a really stressful note. And at the same time, just like, okay, Lord, you provided what we needed. We are on the road. It was crazy expensive. We used all of our air miles and had to pay a bunch of money to rent this van, but we were able to use our air miles for part of it. Anyway, so then we toured through Illinois and that was fun. Again, got to meet lots of new people, lots of people who had never even heard of Schoolhouse Rocked or listened to the podcast, but had heard about this homeschool movie that was being shown. And so they came and it was just a sweet time of fellowship with people that we didn't even know, but just people who are part of the body of Christ. So then from there, we went to the ARC encounter where we did 2 back-to-back conferences. And that was, again, just incredible to see God's hand at work through the people speaking, through the different vendors that we got to hang out with that week. It was a long week. Doing 1 3-day conference is a lot.
I cannot imagine how exhausting.
It was crazy. So doing 2 back-to-back was just insane.
Oh, yeah.
But the team at the ARC did an incredible job. And it was really cool. As a matter of fact, this is just a little side note. We got to talk to some of their team who works there at the Creation Museum and at the ARC. And they are now carrying Schoolhouse Rocked, the DVDs.
No way.
Yeah, in the bookstore at the Creation Museum.
That.
Yeah. I don't know if it's at
Which,
the ARC.
by the way, the Creation I haven't been to the Creation, but the ARC, those bookstores are
amazing. Yeah.
Like, it's like a homeschool mom's dream.
Yeah. It is. So I don't know if they're at the ARC. We know they're at the Creation Museum because we had some friends
That's awesome.
Who were there. So that's an exciting side note. So if you were going to the ARC or Creation Museum, take a picture of the DVD.
Yeah.
There for us. Anyway, so that was a great
conference. By the way, the DVD was a huge hit at our conference.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, people were lining up to get it.
That's awesome.
So if you haven't gotten yours, you're like behind the 8 ball now.
Yeah, you can still purchase it. Schoolhouserocked.com is where you get them. So we did the ARC. Then from there, we went to South Carolina. We did an event, a movie night event at Bob Jones University on their university campus. Cool. That was incredible. Got to do a Q&A after that one and talk to lots of people. And then from there, we went to Georgia, spent some time with family, and then headed down to Florida and did FPEA, the Florida convention there. And then from there, we went back to Georgia for a couple of nights and then headed back home to Oklahoma. So it was a crazy trip.
Absolutely exhausted.
It was exhausting. There were a lot of things that were just really hard. It was just a discouraging trip.
Yeah.
And so we came back from that trip completely overwhelmed, exhausted, and spent in every way. And so the Lord showed us a lot of things, which in the next episode, we're going to talk about some of the things that the Lord is doing just in our family, kind of as a result of that trip, but also as a result of just where we are as a family right now.